Okay, it's a new day with a new roof crew, and we're talking about all our problems, and I look down and there's my lucky penny. So I'm hoping today's the day. Hi, welcome to the League-Kempner House in Galveston. I'm Janie, and many of you already know me. I'm the president of the nonprofit set up to restore and preserve this amazing house, and we are on day 9, I think, of trying to get started on our roof. There have been so many issues, but a new crew is on site. They are high roof, steep pitch specialists. They've already sent a drone up. They don't seem to be intimidated by all I can't even talk, I'm so tired. They don't seem to be intimidated at all by this roof, but we're waiting on Nathan, the job foreman, to get here for them to get started. So I've already reset up our sanding station here. These are the curved shutters that go on our parlor windows. Let me show you those windows. For those of you that have been following us, it was a 3-year ordeal to get those curved windows in. We had to rebuild a lot of the brickwork and structural work inside, above and below. New frames got built. Everything's in and it looks great, but it's now hurricane season. So it's really important that we get these shutters finished and back on. And my husband had taken them to New Orleans for me, to a place called Strippies. So the place in New Orleans that Heather recommended to us was called Strippies, and it's owned by a gentleman named Kavanaugh, and he has owned this business for decades, and it's just a big shop where they repair and strip all kinds of architectural elements. And you can imagine with shutters that paint removal would be very difficult because of all the louvers. And the best way to do that is in these giant vats of very caustic chemicals. And they have perfected the art of shutter repair in New Orleans. You can imagine there's a very high demand for it there. So we are thrilled to be able to have a place to get these. And I have to say the cost was very, very reasonable. I was actually shocked. So I'm optimistic about someday getting a few more of the shutters done and put back up on the house. We have to get them sanded, primed, and painted, because the stripping process leaves them fuzzy. And Heather had already started sanding. You can see the difference, but you have to sand, flip them over, sand the other side, sand the sides. There's a little bit of repair work that needs to be done, but overall they are in remarkably good shape. Even the stripping place that does shutters all day long, they were very impressed with them. You can see they did do a few replacements on the louvers, and when I flip it over, you'll see that they put in all new stainless pins to hold these louvers to the bar that operates them. So these should be in great condition. We still have to find the hinges are not good. That could be a problem, but I should be able to do one of these a day, hopefully, and get some primer on them and get them back up. So I need to contact McNatt because they need to bring the scaffolding back over and put these in for us. And their schedule's pretty busy, but hopefully they can spare a day and come do that for us. So I've got a lot to do today, so I'm going to get started while I'm waiting on Nathan. It's cool, and I'm actually in a very shady spot on the side. I'm under some gorgeous crepe myrtle that are starting to bloom. And it's a little breezy right now, and they're actually predicting a cold front to come through. And a cold front in June means that our high temperatures will only be 92, which may not sound good to some of you, but for us that's pretty good. And it will drop the humidity, which is everything here. So right now it's still pretty humid and gross, but if that humidity will drop a little bit, and being in the shade, 92 will be relatively pleasant by our standards to work. So I'm going to get started. So what I've got is Heather brought, and I think I have one too, a little triangular shaped sander. But this little sander will get in and get about 2/3 of the way down that louver. And then you have to flip and do the other side. And then you have to turn it over and come the other direction. So it's going to be loud. I'll take that sound out of there, but let me get started and just see. She worked on this the other day while I was up on the boom, so I haven't done it yet. So it may take me a little practice. Okay, that is going to be tedious. It's not too hard, but I'm going to have to get a method that works for me, whether to push them down, do everything that's easy to get to, or just do one at a time completely to kind of come up with a pattern. There's something else I want to show you here. Whoops. So when he put the new pins in, one thing he did was flip these around so that he's not going into the old pinholes because it's already split a little bit. So he went into the other side because it's fresh and new and the pins will hold better. So we may have to come glue up and clamp a few of these and do some nail hole filling. But that's not too hard. It's just, as I said, tedious. And then I've got the palm sander over there to come back and hit these outside rails. You can see down here just how fuzzy that is. But I might be able to do a couple of these in one day. So this will be my project. I have other things to do, but nothing as critical as protecting our gorgeous new windows over there. So I'm going to get busy. I'm not going to film a lot of me sanding because it's pretty boring, but I did flip these over to work on the other side, and I do have a little hardware to remove. These are I actually may not remove that. I'd like to reuse these if possible. The latching mechanism is broken, so I need to take this off. Actually, that's so loose I might be able to get it off by hand. But you can see the back side looks just like the front side. So here are those new pins that accentuate the shutter, and they're stainless. So those should be a lifetime fix. And they've not used cypress, they've used a cedar on this, but it should last a pretty long time. I also want to point out these things that look like nails here are not. Those are actually wooden pegs. So like the window, this is held together with wedges and blocks to press fit that in and pegs to hold it. So everything can be taken apart to replace these louvers as necessary. Now that one's coming out a little bit. I need to tap that in. But these were made to be repaired over and over and over again. So they've already been there 130 years. They should be able to go at least a couple hundred more with proper maintenance, if not longer. Day 9 of our roofing saga, and something is happening up there. I'm going to climb up and get you guys a shot. I found them. There they are. They're starting on the back first. Maybe I can go out in the yard and get a better view. Okay, crazy man standing on top, taking a picture of the harbor. The boom is trapped in. I can't get it over to where I need to work, but I'm too tired. I'm not going to do much today anyway, but I can use it to get up and show you what they're doing on the roof. So they're tied off and they're ripping off all this big back section first to get started. So they've got a ground crew cleaning up the mess the other crew made. They've got a tarp down, which is the correct way to do it, to try to keep some of those nails from getting in the ground and being so hard to pick up. They've got a great big trash trailer here to put everything in and get it hauled away. And they think they can do it in a couple of days. And right now the weather's cooperating. Last night it was showing a 40% chance of rain. There's some big thunderhead clouds over there, but this is typical Galveston, Houston, South Coast weather. We get these and they're very localized. They may do something, they may do nothing. But for right now, it's not going to stop them unless they see movement. And directly above us, it is really clear. So that cloud's not likely to move. It'll form over there and rain over there. So unless something changes, they should be good to go today. And there's Nathan, our job foreman down there, talking to the crew lead. So thank you, Mother Nature. Finally, you're cooperating with us. You can also get a bird's eye view of the stained glass that I did on top, and then the work Heather's doing on the bottom, and it's got a long way to go. The color's a little off on the bottom. That's just a base coat and a rough end of the lattice work. We still have to make it look like side light panels and add some definition to the panels around there and get the names on top. But you can see how it's coming together using the same reddish pinky brick color in the skylight there and in the stained glass there. And we just didn't have it in it or the ability to get up close enough to replicate the top. So we just did something stylized. Hello. Good morning.
Everybody strapped up?
They are, well, all but one.
All but one.
And he was standing on the tippy top doing a panoramic view around the harbor. So you got one daredevil up there.
Yeah.
But the others are tied down and getting to it. You know, last night the weather was saying a little rain today, but it doesn't look like it at all. I mean, that's not going to come this way, you know, and there's a little bit over there, but hopefully they said they can do 2 days on the shingle part, they thought. So
I told them, get me that other stuff down so I can get all this, the rest of this going. And I said, yeah.
All right, I've been inside searching window hinges. And they've got our vent down. And it does have a rain catcher on it. It doesn't work so well, where it catches the rain and funnels it back out that slot, the blowing rain. Unfortunately, it can blow over that. So this one actually looks to be in decent shape. Kind of an interesting design. We just hopped into the video today and I didn't really get a chance to introduce this crew. So to recap, we started this roofing journey almost a month ago and have had delay after delay after delay due to weather issues, and those same weather issues that derecho in Houston that had hurricane force winds that ripped off roofs and felled trees, that had roofing crews in Houston going crazy and in very short demand because there's so many houses that have severe damage that have to be fixed. And we have the need for a very specialized high roof, steep pitch crew. And there are just not that many of those working this area. So this crew actually has come from Oklahoma. So our contractor was able to find a crew, get them down here, and get them started, and they are fabulous. They have all the equipment. They basically are rappelling all over the roof. They have no fear of heights. They're very safe. After that one guy finished taking his pictures, he harnessed up. Everybody has been tied down since, and they are loving this lift to move material up and down, because normally they told me they end up carrying it up ladders most of the time. So they are actually having a blast and having fun with this lift. They're also using it to move the crew up and down. So here they're taking up one of the guys and he's in the basket, putting on his safety harness and rope and getting it attached before he gets out of the basket. So it really speeds up the job and is very versatile for these guys to use. Okay, now this has rapidly developed and it's raining. So they're going up with a tarp. Oh my gosh, Mother Nature, F you. Mother Nature wasn't nice, but our crew leader's sister brought lunch and they're sharing with me. So it is my lucky day. Looks like the rain may move out. So they might get to do some work this afternoon. We'll have to see. So attempt number 9 did not go so well, despite finding a lucky penny this morning. The guys got started, they were going gangbusters, and then one of these freak, very isolated summer thunderstorms happened. So they've covered the best they could in the time they had, and are taking a lunch break, and we're just waiting to see what happens. This roof is cursed. After about an hour and a half, the sun came out, things dried up a little bit, and they got right back up on their roof to work. And one of the things they're doing is tearing off that back part of the roof, but they're also working on the porte-cochere and getting the finial down. So that was just sitting up there, not attached. Yeah. Okay, well we can put it back when they're done, because it's the only one. It's the only one we have. So we just need to put it somewhere safe. Yeah, someplace safe. That might. It's got a crack in it. Yeah. Cracked? Some of them have the name etched in it. This one didn't have it. That's pretty good. Yeah. That's good.
You clean, it'll be ready to go back down.
Yeah. Be careful, that one crack on there. Since these guys came in from out of state, they were in no rush to get home, so they elected to work later in the day to try to make up for the delay in getting started this morning and for all that time lost during the rain. So they want to get this job completed as quick as they can, and we've already seen the problems that can crop up with the weather, so the more work they can get in, the better. The only real issue is the heat and the amount of time they're up on that roof. Looks like they found a little rotted spot or two. So they're going to take up one of our ceiling boards from the basement to do the patchwork with. Of course, they have no fear of heights, which really helps. So in case you missed it in our earlier videos, this decking on the roof is tongue and groove pine, and it happens to be the same size as the ceiling boards and the beadboard that we demolished in the basement. So fortunately, there's been very little rot in the decking. This wood is very hard and seasoned, and we don't have to use much of our antique lumber, but we are using it where need be because it just matches up so great. And they have elected to work on 2 sections right now because of the weather issues we're having. They want to do it in small, manageable pieces that they can hopefully do in a day or 2 and get closed in case we get more rain. Okay, this is interesting over here. I'm a little tired and I didn't notice it right away, but there was no tar paper or anything underneath the shingles on this porte-cochere. It was just strictly shingles over the bare wood. Everybody was intently working in this one little place, and I thought they were having some kind of discussion about how to put that patch in. What I couldn't see because the bucket was in the way is that they were actually working to remove one of those clay finials from that little peaked window. And these finials are very hard to remove. The terracotta is fragile and they're nailed on, and it's very hard to get in there and pry the nails out because you can't put any pressure on the terracotta. You'll break it. So I'm not sure exactly how they got it out, but they were very successful in getting these things off the roof, and this one actually appears to be in really good shape. So I thought it was interesting. Of the first 3 they took down, there was actually one of each style finial that's on the roof, and I'll have to do a more detailed video later about the roofing system and how it works with the old slate roof and these clay finials. But I think it's fun to see these together. They are beautiful. They're very heavy and they're much larger on the ground than they appear to be when you're looking at them from the ground up on the roof. So our goal is to possibly 3D scan and make new ones to replace all the ones that are broken. But it's exciting to see that we have enough in great condition that we can do something. Okay, I told you wrong earlier. There was tar paper up here. It was just stuck to the back of the shingles so tightly that it came off and revealed the bare wood. But you can see there is a little bit showing here and there, which makes more sense. With it off, the decking looks to be in really good shape and there's no rot at all. So that's a relief. We were very unsure about what we would find when we took all these shingles off. The decking, as I mentioned, is all 1-inch thick tongue and groove lumber. So that decking almost acts as a structural component of the house. It's not just a sheathing, it's actually binding everything together. And not to jinx anything, but so far it's going really well, which I think we've earned that given what we've been through in the last month trying to get started here. You can see they're not replacing the drip edge. That was custom made and put on during the gutter removal process that we did a few years ago. I think, well, almost 3 years ago since we bought the house. There's a minimum size that you need for windstorm requirements, and I think we went an inch more than that just to get some added protection, and it's all screwed down, not nailed, and it's in great shape, so we're just leaving that. You can see where they're sitting that there's old copper flashing coming out from under where the porch was closed in, and it's in very, very good shape, so none of that will be replaced. There are a lot of little valleys in this porte-cochere area, and that will get that synthetic underlayment in the valleys, but I can see some old step flashing just behind the guy's legs, so I'm not sure what that's about. We need to get up there and take a look at that and determine the best way to treat that area. So this area is actually going a little slower than the bigger roof. I think it's because they have to be very careful not to step off. There's not much room to maneuver, and they have on their rappelling ropes, so they're having to really kind of twist their bodies around to get this section done. They don't wear a full harness like I do. They're using that waist and leg strap system that you see on rock climbers, and it's really fun to watch them work. They have no fear, and they move just gracefully and with ease. It's beyond my comprehension. I'd be terrified. I'm up in the basket, and I do feel safe up there, but it is very windy today, and it's swaying, and that's scary enough for me. I just can't imagine dangling by a rope that high and doing such physical labor while you're doing it. This is something interesting that you can see back on the big section with the shingles removed. The decking is running horizontally to the ground until it reaches the eaves, and then it changes and runs perpendicular. I'm going to have to investigate that further and see if I can figure out why, from a construction sense, it was done that way. Over here in this area, you can see it looks like there's some rot, and someone at one point used just some sheet metal to tack over some rotted places, which is not the way to do it. So they will get over there and continue on with the decking repair. But again, we are thrilled. There's just not a lot of damage in the decking, so that's good. The guys working over on the porte-cochere are taking a bit of a break. They have a perfect seat on that flashing in the shade to rest. They are waiting on Nathan, the job foreman, to come back with some starter course so that they can start the shingling here. They've been working hard all morning. I'm glad they're forced to take a break. They don't often rest. So I'm going to get down because when he comes, they'll need this lift to start taking material back up to the guys. But I wanted to get up and give you a kind of a bird's eye view of what's going on. It's nice to be able to film from up high and see what's going on. When we did the first section of roof, I crawled up there and took a couple of pictures, but there was no way for me to really film or for me to see what was going on. So this is great for me to just observe the work and enjoy the craftsmanship. Okay, we're going up together. Safety in numbers. To take them the plywood to close up where that vent came down. And they've got this already. And this way, with him driving, I don't have to look at the ground, so it's like a completely different experience for me. So he's done this 15 times already to get material up here. But you guys can see so what is that they put down in the corner? Is
the gray?
Yeah.
The felt?
Yeah.
So it's like the black toilet paper, but the new synthetic one?
The weather, what do they call it? The ice shield or whatever they call it.
That's the one in the middle, the ice and water shield?
Water shields, yeah. Okay, so you can see the patches they had to make. And that's where that vent came out. And those are the metal louvers on the inside to close it up. And then they're going to put this, let me back out. They're going to put this plywood in that opening to seal it off. So it's not hurting anything that this is so rusty. Let him. Spider-Man. He's even got the red suit on. This is the hole where that big metal vent cover goes, and we are putting solid decking there to stop that water leak. It's such a large area, and we do have 3 of these holes to cover, that I didn't want to use too much of that antique wood from the basement. I don't mind using a board or 2 here and there where we have tiny patches to make, but this took 3 full sheets of plywood to cover these holes, so we are using plywood in this case. I have to just insert a personal comment here. It is hot. This is hard work, and this crew is just delightful. They are singing and joking and happy, and they're just so nice to work with. Okay, for all of our technical nerds out there like me, just a quick word about this underlayment that they're using. So traditionally, the underlayment was an asphalt or tar saturated felt, and if you've ever worked with it, it's very heavy, it tears easily. It's good at what it did, I guess, in its day, but it's been improved on. So what they're using today is a synthetic underlayment, and it's mechanically attached with nails. It's basically a coated woven synthetic material for sloped roofs like this, and it's a very durable product. Even though it looks very thin and flimsy, it's got really high strength, and it's a great improvement over that asphalt felt. And part of the improvement is that it's easier to use because it's very lightweight. The rolls can be bigger and wider and easier to put up, so the fewer seams you have, the better off you are. So it's a safer product for these guys to use. There's fewer cuts, and it's just more straightforward. These little triangular windows look cute, but there's an awful lot going on around them. They have a decorative metal trim piece. It's a little rusted. It's not in great shape, but it doesn't actually hurt anything. It is more of a decorative element, and then of course, because it's this little triangle gable shape, it creates 2 very small valleys on either side that are up kind of close to the other valley. So it's something I was glad to have the boom to get up and really look at, because we needed to make a decision about what kind of repairs we might need to pause and do now, or could it just stay the way it is, and maybe get painted, or just see what was really going on. But overall, it's in pretty good shape. So for right now, we're not going to do anything with it. We'll just slip this underlayment up under the existing flashing, and they'll just carry those shingles up under there and make sure it's watertight. There's a great view.
Ahí no cambiaron este de plástico. No lo pintaron, ¿no? But they didn't change that flashing. They did. They didn't change that flashing.
That is it for today's video. I am going to leave you guys with some panoramic views of the work going on and kind of what's going on the ground. There's, you know, a lot of trash and debris, and this process is messy, but at least we are underway. This is the right crew. They are well equipped to do this work, and other than that crazy flash storm we had in the middle of the day, the weather seems to be cooperating, and it looks like we'll have good weather for a few days. It is going much slower. At the beginning of the day, the crew foreman thought it would be a 2-day job, and he has really expanded his thought process on that, because even though they are the right crew, this is still complicated, and you can see they just got a little bit done in the day that we had, even though they worked much longer than a normal work day to make up for that rain. So they are the right guys for this job, and we are so excited to get going. And here's a look. You can see the trash truck is already almost full just from this little bit of demolition they've done, and there's still a lot of debris on the ground to be picked up. We have a long way to go, and I am up higher in this boom than I've ever been because somebody else is with me and driving it, so I have a death grip on the basket even though I have my harness on. But it is so nice to have this kind of bird's eye view of the work. It is a very different feel to see it from above than it is to stand on the ground and look 60 feet up and not be able to see what's going on. So I love this lift. So that is it for this week. We are the League-Kempner House in Galveston, Texas. Be sure and join us next week as we continue on with this roofing journey. And I'm going to leave you with my absolute favorite photos. You saw the guys get the finial off of the porte-cochere. What I didn't show you was how their young helper chose to carry it around. It's a very heavy hat to wear.